So a lot of what we saw in the last 3 days really is a good old-fashioned short squeeze. I mean, the market structure was set up in a way where there were $2.5 billion of shorts positioned in the last, call it, month and a half, and we saw about $1 billion of that liquidated. Really, when it comes to short-term trading, even in traditional markets, when I was at Goldman, there would be a violent movement in equity, and you would sort of search for a narrative post-price action, and that's kind of what we got here, where it was really just a low liquidity period. We had a strong buyer of call options come into the market Friday evening. That sort of triggered a bridge into what was typically weaker weekend activity in the last few months, and kind of bridged us to Sunday. It hit a few trigger points for short coverings, and that's how we got to this level today, where there's still about $1.5 billion left of shorts to be liquidated at certain key levels. So it'll be interesting to watch for the next few days. The narratives are the things that you discussed over the last few days, which are Elon, Amazon, and pick your headline.
Yeah, Elon meaning will Tesla take Bitcoin again as a form of payment for its cars? What's the latest on that, and how much impact could that really have? I mean,
so, yeah, it's, that is the much less relevant piece. It's about his companies holding Bitcoin on the balance sheet, which is kind of a signaling to the rest of corporate America, where he announced on Wednesday at a conference that was known as the B Word Conference. Him, Kathy Wood, and Jack Dorsey ran a panel together, and Elon confirmed that SpaceX holds Bitcoin on its balance sheet. Tesla will consider, again, re-engaging with Bitcoin. I think really it was a healthy exercise with Elon and getting the ESG element involved. It really clears a lot of hurdles in the boards of large corporations that required that at least observation and path towards a solution to get their boards comfortable with investing in the space. So Elon's involvement has a bunch of different angles to it, and I think some of it's relevant, some of it's not. Accepting Bitcoin to buy a Tesla I think is irrelevant to many things.
Mike, I have to imagine that you're a bull on Bitcoin in the long run. Is that right?
Yeah. So again, if you break it down, short, medium, and long term. Short term, you have things like short squeezes, market structures. Right. Medium term, you have to also kind of think about that as well as the long term narrative. But the reality is, think about JP Morgan joined Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley in allowing their wealth management clients to buy Bitcoin. If you talk to any one of those banks, they're doubling headcount in digital assets. They're tripling them elsewhere. Enterprises are adopting. MasterCard's doing a USDC partnership to attract stablecoin payments. There's a lot happening. The long-term prospects are still very, very strong.
So I asked to then ask you the follow-on question about stablecoins. You just mentioned USDC. So how do you think this all plays out? You know, there's obviously, you could call it, I guess, a systemic risk that, you know, stablecoins present to the Bitcoin market until people have greater clarity on how they're backed, what the Fed's gonna or not gonna do about it, et cetera. So from where you sit, spin this forward, 3, 6 months, whatever it is, how does the whole stablecoin issue get resolved, or does it?
So at current, the sort of the good and the bad of it is no one regulatory authority, particularly in the US, wants to take ownership of the cryptocurrency space. There's a lot of discussions around CBDCs. Obviously, China's been out with theirs. But within the US, no one authority wants to take ownership of the cryptocurrency space. Now, that provides opportunity for those who are willing to interact with the space, but it also delays some of the timeline of corporations really getting deeper into the space and staying outside of the sandbox, or inside the sandbox, I should say. Tether's been around for years. It's always been a headline risk for years. They have been very actively transparent and open with authorities. You know, whether or not that information they provide is enough, that's to be determined. But I think the market is slowly shifting away from Tether. If you look at Tether issuance and Tether mints in the last month, they've gone completely flatline. USDC is picking up a lot of the slack.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.